All right, everybody, welcome to the Retro Wrestling Revival. Hope everybody is having a great night. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk about Vince McMahon. We're going to talk about ECW maybe having a rebirth, and we're going to talk about a whole lot more, whatever pops on our mind. I am John Wangland, and joining me, as always, is my partner, Mr. Richie Reardon. What's going on, Mr. Richie? How are you today, my friend?
Doing good, brother, man. And my God, like, if pictures could just fucking say 1,000 words, dude, holy crap. Like, what is Vince McMahon thinking wearing
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Do-rag Vince here?
That's a do-don't, man. Like,
can you believe that he was actually walking around with that shit in Saudi Arabia?
That is just...
Like, what goes through your head when you
like,
think
how
that's
does Triple H even have a straight face right there, dude? I would be dying laughing saying, take that shit off your head. Like...
It's just like terrible, man. Like when I was making up graphics today, I was just looking at random pictures of Vince, and I was like, there's so many to just take for this for the thumbnails for this, and I'm like, man, Vince just is giving us a plethora of great content to go back and look and see what he's
he should be a spokesperson for Just for Men, man. Look at that fucking that mustache and the eyebrows and the.
I mean, he's the genetic jackhammer, bro.
Dude. He's like a fine wine, I guess, huh?
I don't know about that. I don't think he's aging too well.
Mad Dog 2020, I guess. I don't know.
So how you doing, man? You doing good?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm in a positive attitude tonight. Got a lot of side work going on and stuff like that, so things are going good in my world. What about you?
Man, I'm staying busy as always. I've been working on the tractor all day today, and trying to get my 25-year-old tractor that was my grandfather's up and running and doing well, and. I got it running good enough, and then you get it running, and it busts down. It breaks down again on something. There's always something to do. There's never enough time in the day.
Life pops up like that all the time, man. I just had my Yukon break down and had to change the alternator on that, and so it's just life, man. It comes and goes, but you know what? Things like this, our show that we do each and every week, random conversations, the Retro Wrestling Revival, makes life worth living, makes it a little bit easier to deal with, and hope that you guys are enjoying the content at home.
Hey, it gets our mind off of life and things like that, man, because that's what the whole point of the show is. It's just to have a good time and to get out there and let everybody come back and kick back, and have some fun and talk about some new topics, some old topics. So tonight we're going to talk primarily. This whole weekend is going to be. We did a little bit of a change from what our original format was going to be that we had talked about this weekend, and we're actually going to do some new topics this week. I know it's the Retro Wrestling Revival, but we're going to talk about, Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson tomorrow. We're actually going to watch that match, and the match that some people are saying is the greatest match in American history. So we'll watch that tomorrow. But tonight we're going to talk about some new topics, and one of them is maybe an ECW revival that has been on the potential docket here for a little bit. And the other one's going to be Vince McMahon. Is Vince McMahon coming back or not? Jeremy's got a good comment here. He says he looks like Gomez Adams. He really does, bro. God, he looks
like the Monopoly man with hair, and then if you just put a monocle right there, dude, it'd just be perfect.
Yeah, we talked about Vince last week for a little bit, so it's just interesting. I don't think that this is coincidental that he's selling off everything and he's just going to ride off into the sunset, and that's why I thought it might be a good topic of conversation, for the show tonight, because I thought originally that there's no way in hell, no chance in hell that he comes back and maybe opens up another business. No chance. That's what he's got. But I have done a little bit of a change on that, man. And as he's been selling off all of his shares, I think they said that he sold off, I think, $2.2 billion worth of his shares and stuff like that by now. And what are you going to do? He's 78 going on 79 years old. Okay. I just want to lay this timeline out here. The guy has been fucked by his family, literally. Like, they all turned on him. Nobody wants anything to do with him. He got forced out of his own company, basically. He sold off his own company just to spite everybody. And then, the scandal happened, and, all that stuff's coming up with the scandal. But We've talked about that ad nauseum here on the show. I really don't want to talk about the scandal anymore. Who knows what's going to happen with it? It is what it is, and
It's a woozy, it's a wazy. It doesn't exist.
it doesn't. I guess who knows what's going on with this stuff with the
Yeah.
scandal. But this guy literally got boned by everybody in his life, and he is a walking and talking punchline. Anytime that anybody mentions him now, I mean, we were having some laughs right before the show with some of the stuff. The guy is just easy cannon fodder right now. He's just a moving target, basically, of jokes. Do you think that this guy is really going to mosey off into the sunset and let everybody that forced him out of his creation, do you think they're really going to get away with it? Like, as I thought about it, Richie, I was like, $2.2 billion that he sold off and will have in his pocket. He ain't leaving it to Stephanie. He ain't leaving it to Hunter. He ain't leaving it to Shane. He ain't leaving it to the grandkids or anything like that. This guy has something to prove, I think, at the end of the day in his mind. And it's that ego of a billionaire. Look at all the billionaires in the world. When you got more money than you know what to do with, you could do whatever you want in life. He doesn't give a shit anymore. So there's rumors, people keep saying, is he going to start another promotion? Is he going to come back? What do you think?
I don't think he's going to, man. I think he's going to ride off into the sunset. I think it's wishful thinking and people, trying to, put his character to who he is in real life. And I'm going to be honest with you. He's got his hands full with this lawsuit right now. I don't think he's going to have time to develop that. And let's be honest too, man. I mean, all the stars that he built and stuff like that, they're either dead and gone or, retired. Vince McMahon is not a, younger guy by any stretch of the imagination. He doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of time left. And I point to Exhibit A of the video I sent you where he's walking into a bar with looks to be his new girlfriend, and he can't even walk without the assistance of a cane. This isn't the Vince McMahon of old that would hop in there and have a wrestling match with Stone Cold Steve Austin or something. This is an old man that is on his way out. He's selling his money off. I think he will leave it to his grandkids. I really do. I think once this blows over and stuff like that, and the scandal kind of passes through, which it will, he's not facing any criminal charges or anything like that. Yeah. They've already done the federal investigation. It's just a civil suit, which will be settled out of court. And if he's smart, whatever she asked for as far as that, he's a billionaire. He can make it go away in a little bit. So do I think he's going to be seeing jail time? No. Do I think he's going to be starting a new wrestling promotion? Absolutely not. I don't. I'll go one further. I eventually, when this all blows over, I can almost guarantee Vince will go in the Hall of Fame. I can almost guarantee that he will be back in some sort of fashion.
You really think so?
I do.
Why do you?
I think he will be a quiet partner, but I don't think you can get rid of Vince McMahon.
Why do you think they would bring him back?
I think they would bring him back because he's the brand. He's the face that ran the place for so long. I don't think he's going to be a decision maker. I don't think he's going to be in the level he was, but I definitely think he might be a silent partner and brought back once this all blows over. This isn't going to end up bad for him. I mean, he's got people in high places. He's got money enough. And this person only did what she did, in my opinion, after seeing the evidence that I've seen, because she was obsessed with him and she didn't get the money once she asked for it.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. And it's a disclaimer. It's just my opinion. It's not fact. So I don't want anybody out there thinking,
no, just
that we're saying that it's fact and that we don't, respect women and this and that. Hey man, I'm all for it, but I'm also a logical thinker, and seeing the evidence that's out there that's available right now, my perspective may change. If there's more evidence that's presented to the table, then so be it. But as of right now, what it looks like, she didn't get the money that she was promised, and she made a fuss about it.
I don't think they welcome him back at all. I think they want to rid themselves of him completely. I think
there's a lot you have to rid of. I mean, there's a lot you have to get rid of.
Yeah, you can never erase him from history, or anything like that. It's impossible to. The guy created it all. Let's be realistic.
He created it all.
Yeah. He created all of it. So there's no getting rid of him.
There's no Rock without Vince McMahon. There's no Triple H without Vince McMahon.
There's no Hulk Hogan
that's there today, currently, who's running the show, was given an opportunity by Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Jeremy, I'll get to yours in just a second here. Jeremy put a comment there. I'll get to it in just a second. Man, I can't see him welcoming him back. I think they want to usher in a new era, and I think they want to do it without him. And I think TKO wants to do things their own way. TKO is not gonna be a publicly traded company anymore, so they're going back to being so they're going back to being private. So I think they're happy to get rid of him and to see with their investment on what they can do. I think it's a really interesting move that TKO is doing by not not being publicly traded anymore and going back to being privatized. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want anything to do with him. I think
he's got FU money. Let's be real. He doesn't have to work another day in his life.
He has beyond FU money. I mean, he could do whatever he wanted to do, and he could set everybody up in his life that he wanted to for the rest of their lives too, and then their kids and their grandkids. When you're a billionaire like that, you can do whatever the hell you want. I just don't see him as the guy that goes off and lets people fuck him, and lets people stick it to him like that. And that's why I think that he might start another venture, because let's be realistic.
But Vince McMahon can't be the whole thing.
No,
There's no stars like there were back then that were as passionate. The Kevin Nashes, the Scott Halls, the Shawn Michaels that were trying to break in the business and make it better. And, these, in-depth characters that just took on a life of their own. There's not that anymore in wrestling. It's all the same. All the characters are the same. So what really, I mean, you can have all the money you want. Look at Tony Khan. He's a freaking billionaire too.
Yeah, he's got more money than Vince does,
And the fact is, it doesn't mean it's going to bring you a successful product.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think he cares about it.
Yeah.
Ralph, I'll get to yours in just a second here, because I think that's actually somewhere where we're going to lead to in just a minute. Jeremy says, I don't think he starts a wrestling company. Call me crazy. MLB will need a new commissioner in a few years. Just saying. I mean, God, no way. They don't want anything to do with him. I don't think over there. They got enough issues.
Well, we'll see if his name gets cleared. You never know. This may
it could. It really could. Know. It's a very interesting.
Ricochet back the other way.
That's why I think he's setting this up, man. And I think
one thing's for sure, you can never count Vince McMahon out. Everybody did with the steroid scandal.
That's what I was going to say. The steroid scandal, WCW crushed his ass. Yeah, WCW crushed his ass.
He's defeated the government, for crying out loud.
He beat the damn government, okay? Yeah. And then
he's
WCW,
the one person on this planet that can say that.
Yeah. WCW had him on the ropes where he was literally broke as a joke, man, and barely just scraping by. They were in a destitute state, and he held firm on it, and he had ideas. Now, is he the same guy that he was 30 years ago? No way. No, absolutely. Look at the product when he was running it. It's in 2019 when they finally started to people couldn't stand it anymore. I mean, he had to get out. It was so bad. I mean,
it was so bad.
It was so bad. I mean, the guy that was once a creative genius was a walking, talking punchline. It was the most unwatchable garbage and slop in the world. And that's what it was. It really was so bad. Oh, God, I mean, that was early 90s, stuff, mid 90s stuff. And then, you had whatever he was, the Shorty G stuff that he was doing, like we talked about last week. You had a guy like Gable who was fantastic. I mean, come on. I mean, he was killing everybody and every gimmick in the world that was coming through, and he was crushing it. Ralph says, who do you think would join Vince? Ralph, I don't think Vince wants anybody to join him ever again on anything. I mean, you have to have partners because let's be real. Okay. He's had a lot of scandal, but when you have that type of money and connections that Vince does, he could get a TV deal somewhere. All right. Sure. Somebody would give him a TV deal. Somebody would give him something. I don't think he has any partners. I don't think he wants to be involved with anybody again. And I think if he did get back into that again, I just don't see him getting involved with anybody.
There's another element to it. Like the dude has had so many successes with wrestling and all these things and the longevity of his career. And for how long he stayed on top, and then that embarrassing failure of the XFL was like the downtrend of his stuff, and then, you try and do the reboot, then that shit fails. Mm-hmm. And then your wife goes off into this freaking political deal where she's trying to be a politician, and then that fails. Yeah. And then your wrestling, all your wrestling, it starts to go downhill, and it's the least watched shit in forever. Then all of a sudden you're gone, and it's like wrestling's cool again.
Yeah. You're a walking, talking punchline for everybody.
What's the common denominator here with Vince McMahon? Yeah. So for the past forever, since he won the Monday Night War, we'll give him that. And even probably, I'd say a good 8 years after the Monday Night War, things were successful. Then shit just dropped off, dude. Let's be real.
He rested on his laurels. He didn't have any competition forever. He
absolutely.
knew
he got comfortable.
even with how bad the product was, they were still making record amounts of money that they've never, could have fathomed to
Sure.
imagine it to make. So
Yeah, but they were living off the legacy of their old product, and they
that's all
have
they
been
did.
for a long time.
Yeah, that's all they did.
You can't tell me that WWE, like I'll point this to you. Does he name
Does he
his
name his
wrestling
new wrestling
promotion
promotion the WWF?
WWF?
Just kidding. That'd be
Ooh,
funny
that would
though.
be asking for a lawsuit right away.
Woo!
Good
World
grief.
Wildlife Federation's coming.
Yeah, yep. Um, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I don't see him making a new promotion, man. It just it's not in the cards for him. He's too old. The time has passed. He's made too many failures. And let's be real. Oh, this is where I was going with that. So when you and I do the retro wrestling revival shows and we pick our matches and stuff, it's always stuff from the Attitude Era. It's always stuff from the, maybe even a little bit of sprinkle here of the Ruthless Aggression or WCW Nitro, stuff like that. It's all the old stuff. When have we ever picked something that was like, 2019, 2020,
We don't.
like
we don't. Very infrequently.
Nobody would watch it because it's so forgetful,
Yeah. I that's when I turned off of doing it. Ironically enough, it was when we started the show too, and we're doing it we were doing the show literally during the worst time ever to watch modern product.
Hard. And we even said it on the show every week with Wrestling with Reality, even on Rad Rob show when we used to do that, the Rad Turtles, Wrestling Anonymous, even we would say it. We would be like, good God, this is just regurgitated shit every week.
Oh, it was awful. It was dreadful to have to sit through and watch. And I just turned off of it. And I was like, this is just hot garbage. Now, do I watch it frequently now? No, I don't. Do I follow what's going on always? Of course. I don't have cable and I don't have the time to watch 92 hours a week of wrestling. There's just so much of it to consume. And there's some great stuff on all brands. And it's nice to, see that all brands are, popping out good stuff all the time. So I give them, my
John, I don't see any new posters back there on your wall there.
No, they're all old ones, 100%. Because that's the best eras to me. Was the old school, the old school times. If Vince does get involved, what I think is going to be the biggest hang up for him is
he can't strike twice like that. Not at this age.
No, not at his age. The problem is going to be too is talent. What talent is going to want to go work for him?
Who are you going to bring? You going to bring Goldberg? Like, what are you going to
do? Goldberg, that young champion that he's going to make him?
What are you going to do? There's nobody. You had everybody in WWE that's even halfway passionate about it now. What are you going to do? You going to go get a bunch of football players to get in the ring and play, XFL?
He's going to bring back the WBF or something like that.
Yeah, come on. Let's get real here.
It's just, I could see him doing it. I really can. And then I could see it flopping majorly, of course, because he's just not in tune with the product anymore, of course, and what modern fans want. And his image is so bad. Who would want to go work for him? Who's going to be his head of creative? Is he going to bring Johnny Laurinaitis back, with him?
If we're segueing into this next topic here with the ECW revival, might be the perfect head to put at a controversial company like ECW rebooting it. You have Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman at the heads of it.
You think Paul wants to go? He doesn't want to go into business with him. If you heard his Hall of Fame speech, there's no way he wants to be in business with him.
He's happy that Triple H took over.
100%. He said it right in his Hall of Fame speech. I'm a Triple H guy.
Yeah. Jeremy I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I know you are. Jeremy says he's bringing back IcoPro.
IcoPro. Oh god.
Integrative conditioning product. The stuff that would give everybody and their brother diarrhea.
Jeez.
Jesus, man. Summing up Vince. If he does,
this isn't the way any of us wanted to see him go out. I mean, let's be honest. We wanted to see him go out in the Hall of Fame, right off in the sunset. That was kind of our perfect image.
Get his flowers that he deserved for being the creator of everything. Ralph says, I was following from 89 to 05. I had an opportunity to watch Elimination Chamber 2023 live, front row, hard cam. It pulled me back in. Triple H is doing an amazing job. I haven't missed a Raw or SmackDown in the last 10 months. I agree, Ralph. Vince being gone is the best thing for WWE.
Triple H, The Rock, a lot of good things are coming together and working over there, big time.
It's funny. Great point, Ralph. Appreciate your perspective 100%, and welcome out. I think it's the first time we've seen you out here on the stream, so welcome. Hopefully, you come back again soon and sub to the page here. So, welcome, Ralph. And I got to say though, it's fun because every week, you actually get people that are sending you stuff about wrestling again. Remember when wrestling was cool, when you would talk with all your friends about it, and everybody's,
You're starting to see that energy again.
Yeah, the water cooler talk, so to speak. Everybody's talking about what was going on in the back in the day with the the ruthless aggression era or the attitude era and everything that was there. You're welcome, Ralph. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it, my friend. And it was cool to talk about, and then it became uncool because it just sucked. And I was wearing a shirt. I took my daughter out to Five Guys tonight. Ironically enough, you mentioned where we're talking about old school. Here is I'm wearing Chris got me for my birthday. He got me an Andre
Cody Rhodes shirt.
No fucking Cody Rhodes shirt.
Oh, okay.
No Cody Rhodes for me, buddy. Chris loves him, but I'm not at all about that damn Cody Rhodes. No. No, all the respect for Cody, but I'm not a Cody guy. But he got me a Hulk Hogan and Andre WrestleMania 3 shirt.
Very cool.
Yeah, really cool shirts. I rocked it out tonight when me and my daughter went out to Five Guys, and the guy the cashier, he might have been in his 30s, 35, something like that. He goes to me, he goes, man, that's when wrestling was cool. He's like, and I was like, what? And I didn't even realize I had the shirt on. He's like Hogan and Andre. He's like, man, the old school times. He goes, this shit now sucks. And I said, well, if you gave it an opportunity, I said there was some stuff that was pretty good that they're doing now. And I said, but it's definitely not as good as the old times, because when we go back and look at it, it's the stuff that we loved and the stuff that we had fun watching, and the stuff that we enjoyed. Yeah. And it's nice to see that people are talking about it again. It's nice to see that, there's that banter back and forth with different promotions and people are getting their flowers for what they're doing. So it's very interesting to see. Jeremy says, what if he plays the role of the investor and gives the keys to the kingdom to someone like Jim Cornette? Oh
my goodness.
No.
Can you imagine?
Jesus, those two together, Jeremy. Woo! No, thank you. No.
Jim Cornette's another one that's never coming back.
No, he's done. He loves he loves the
he had a good run for what he was, man.
Yeah. The guy is creating the Monday Night Wars. I want to see a Monday Night Wars again. I know we're never gonna. I want to see it again.
I wish AEW got to that level, man. They really like, if anybody had the gumption to do it in the beginning, they really were firing on all cylinders until Cody left.
Yeah. When Cody left is when you started to see it collapse.
It was the downfall.
That'll segue us into the next point. I want to get to ECW in a minute and the ECW talk to close out the show. But, I got to give him credit for once with Tony Khan. The guy actually, for once, last week on one of the media calls where we're talking about, creating the wars here and stuff and how they could do it, the guy actually admitted on one of the media calls that it might be time to have somebody else head creative and do things over there. He actually admitted the dwindling audiences. He admitted the dwindling ratings and things like that. And he said, as much as I love doing it, he goes, maybe it's time for somebody else, to do it. He goes, I don't know yet. And I got to give him credit for that.
That's some humble pie there, dude.
It is. And whether he does it or not, I have no idea. That remains to be seen. But if they give the pen to somebody that is an intelligent mind over there, they have the talent in AEW. There's no reason they couldn't be competing. I mean, they're never going to be at WWE's level, but there's no reason they can't grow their brand even more and really make it more of an interesting product.
Here's my thing. You got Jake Roberts over there. Help him be a writer. You bring in Mick Foley, toss a shitload of money at Mick Foley, make him a writer. You got to have stars that have been stars to write storylines that will create stars. Yep. You can't have people, and it's weird, man. And, this is kind of a subject all on its own. When you have people like A-Train and you have people like Dean Malenko and you have people, all these guys that are back there and they're the agents and they're the story writers and the content creators and stuff. I'm sorry, those guys weren't megastars and they're not going to make megastars. The reason why WWE is firing on all cylinders is you got the likes of Shawn Michaels in developmental. You've got Undertaker helping out in developmental. You've got Triple H at the helm of it. You got, Road Dogg producing. These are mega stars that would have crowds chanting, "Oh, you didn't know all these things."
The Rock putting his input in again and stuff like that.
His input. He's the board of directors.
Look at The Rock and what The Rock did. Okay, the ratings have dipped back down, of course, as we all knew that they would once The Rock left. They were at 2.3 million the last time The Rock was on the show, down to 1.8 million. Lost 500,000 viewers. Yeah. Irony? I don't think so. No. This is a funny devil's advocate here. Banished Owner comes back to run another show. What if
Vince hopped over to AEW?
That's what I was just gonna say. What if Vince teamed up with Tony fucking Khan?
Oh my god,
bro! I would watch. I would watch that shit show. I would watch that shit show right there.
That's a car accident, man. That is...
Yes. See, Rob says, see, you're tracking. Yep.
Oh
Boy.
my God.
Let's be realistic though here.
Dude.
2 billionaires, 2 billionaires. And the Vince gives the ultimate FU right to the people that stuck it to him. Now, I'm not saying Tony
I would
give up
laugh
control.
My ass off.
Dude, it would be
do the billionaire strut out on AEW.
Think of No Chance in Hell popping out, and Vince comes out, Vince comes
This
out.
gotta happen. We need to sign a petition.
Dude, this needs to happen right now. This is why we're spitballing.
And he better have a do-rag on, or I'm not watching.
Dude, I was just going to pop the picture up right now. Vince coming out, do-rag and all.
He's got to have a cane and a do-rag, bro.
A cane and a do-rag. He's looking like
Theo Vaughn in front row while this happens.
He's looking like Kramer, in the Seinfeld Pimp episode, coming down and strutting down.
I'll tell you what. If Vince McMahon does this, I will wear that same do-rag on this show every single time we take.
Yeah, 100%, man. Robert says, what if he pulled stars with him? LOL. He would try and do a WCW did, man. It would be interesting.
You see Undertaker come back.
Ralph, I'll get back to yours here in just a second.
John Cena comes over.
God. Ralph, I'll come to your question about Drew just back in 1 second. I'll get to yours too, Jeremy, as well. I'll go to Jeremy's first. This is time he gives the keys to Danielson. Dynamite and Collision are completely different styles. FTR and Danielson have their hands on Collision. To me, it's better.
Bischoff back.
He will never work with Tony Khan after all he does roasting him every week.
But dude,
Tony Khan is such a sensitive flower, man, to him. Yeah. And he dug into Ted Turner and making some cracks about Ted Turner, who is Eric's, the guy that he owes his career to. And
you want to make the wrestling world explode. You bring Vince McMahon on AEW.
What if you brought Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, and Tony Khan all together?
Dude.
What a train wreck this would be.
Dude.
Of epic proportions.
This has got to happen. This has got to happen.
It would be his ultimate success story.
He's going to inject the poison of AEW into the WWE. Come on, man.
This is great, man. We're just spitballing right here.
We just wrote it for you, Vince. Go ahead.
Seriously.
You don't have
to
make
this happen.
$3 million
right now.
To get us to shut up or anything.
What if you got, seriously, Bischoff, Vince, and Tony all in one faction to take on the evil
wrestling gods are shining down upon us right now.
Dude, this would be the best train
wreck. The story of forever.
Tony Khan would get the highest rating since the Monday Night Wars if he did this. Bro, he would be printing fucking money out for himself in ratings.
He put Jake Paul instead of Logan Paul.
You have a sibling rivalry between different promotions.
Dude. How funny would that be?
Mike Tyson comes back out and knocks Jake Paul out and gets the suck it right on TV.
Oh, dude.
Here, Ralph's giving a good one. Here, Russo's the head writer.
Oh, dude. Russo would write their magazine, too. Bring magazines back. Why not? Fuck it.
Oh, fuck, man. This would be an amazing...
Dude,
I'd watch this shit, man. My cheap ass would subscribe to cable again just to see it.
Oh, my God.
I'm doing it. I'm doing this.
We got to start a petition. I mean,
seriously. Wow. That would be great. Get Ed Ferrara back as Oklahoma.
Oh, God.
Coming out dumping barbecue sauce on people.
No, dude. Oh, no. Bring Jerry Lawler back.
Puppies.
Dude, AEW would be the show to watch. Be him and Jim Ross up there.
Wow.
Oh,
dude.
That was fun.
I'm all for this.
I'm all for it, too. I think it could be the greatest thing in
This ain't my rodeo,
my
rodeo. Wow. That would be interesting. That would be interesting stuff. Let me go back to Ralph's question here. He says, off topic question. I love Drew. And he has to sign. How do you guys feel about that? Drew McIntyre, to me, Ralph, has always been boring as shit until now. I love what he's doing now.
He's always a great heel.
Dude, he is phenomenal with what he's doing now. I've never been into him as a babyface at all. I couldn't stand it.
This shit at Mania was his best stuff, where he's tweeting in the crowd, saying he's bored at work. Like that's the Drew McIntyre I want to see.
Dude, did you see him last night on Raw? The clips from Raw last night with him?
Yeah,
he was gold, bro.
That stuff's good.
Yeah.
If anyone thinks he's leaving WWE, he's not. You really think he's going to go to AEW? I mean, come on.
He'd be lost in the shuffle over there, and he'd be a guy that should be, of course, the champion and all that
Vince
stuff.
McMahon becomes the writer, though, and he's the chosen one? Shit.
Bro, he chose him before.
Who chose you?
Who chose you, damn it? I'm the genetic jackhammer.
Yep.
Oh, No, Drew's been doing just the best work of his
Yeah.
career, in my opinion, right now, and I think he definitely sticks around and
Yeah.
stays. Yeah, I don't see any way that
There's
that
nowhere
Drew.
else to go.
Yeah, I don't see them doing anything. Becky won the title last night, which I don't. They didn't
That's
have
gonna
any
be a
other
popcorn
choice.
fart in the pan,
Yeah, well,
dude.
they didn't have any other choice. Who were gonna fucking give it to? Liv Morgan?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like.
Now we get to hear about this awful autobiography for the next 6 months. It's
Oh
gonna be
Lord,
great.
please, no, thank you. I'm just not into any of it. It sucks to see that Rhea, got hurt and had to take
Yeah.
some time off and all that. So, I mean, I wish her a speedy recovery because she was the most entertaining thing to me in women's wrestling most of the time. I love Jade Cargill though too and what she's doing.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
she's a star, man,
I think
100%.
so too.
Oh yeah, big time star. Jade Cargill's going to do some great things. I mean, wrestling's interesting again, and then you get the news of ECW maybe coming back now too. Apparently, I read on to
with
this.
the Netflix members of the board, and they're negotiating a deal supposedly with Paul Heyman. Stephanie McMahon wearing her backwards cap with ECW on the
irony.
brim of it. There's no irony there, and everybody's asking for it. The crowd still chant for it. But here's my question I posed to you on it. Again, it's the same thing. Yeah, Paul Heyman, great. You bring back ECW. How do you prevent it from going the way it went before? You have no stars that have come up like ECW people have. What, you gonna bring Nick Gage in? You're gonna bring, who are you gonna bring in? Jelly Nutella,
Yeah, I'll get back to that really quick in 1 second. Ralph said, "I don't know the old Drew, LOL. I'm thankful for that. Made the mistake of tracking his old stuff. I screamed at the television for ditch the sword shortly after he ditched it. Thank God, man, he didn't walk around with that stupid thing anymore. God, it was so dumb.
Yeah."
This is what I want to see with him, Ralph. 100%, man. I'm glad you yelled at your television for him to ditch it.
Yeah.
What do you call a sword? Angela or something like that?
Good
How
God.
fucking silly. But ECW, man, what are you going to do, with this?
Who you gonna bring
ECW,
in?
the real ECW has been dead since 2000.
Yeah. Who are you going to bring in? These guys were on drugs and beat the holy shit out of each other each and every week. You think you're going to find people like that cut from that fabric cloth? No.
I mean, yeah, maybe you could do a partnership with like a GCW or some of these other, much.
GCW.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, I read on it today, and they were saying that they were looking at doing something with it, with like an MMA feel to it, and I don't want to see that.
God,
yeah,
Brawl for All, really?
Yeah,
We're doing this again.
that's what they were saying. That was the rumor that they had about it, was that it was like going to be like an MMA style feel to it. And man, I'm just not all about that. I don't want to see that nonsense, man. Like they were trying that on a few years ago when they were doing the Raw Underground. It was like a fight club that they were doing.
Stupid.
It was so friggin' stupid.
Yeah.
Like it was dumb as hell. Like I don't want to see that. I'll tell you 100%. To me, the only way, if you're going to do it, you have a plethora of talent in NXT on the main roster. It's not getting used. You got a lot of people you can bring in as well. But if you're going to make it work, the platform to do it on is Netflix, because they're not going to restrict you on what you can do.
Absolutely.
You'll be able to have blood. You'll be able to make it rated R style. You'll be able to do whatever.
It has to be like ECW. It can't be sci-fi.
Got to be the original.
Yeah. You can't have a zombie coming out and insulting people's intelligence and shit like that. It's not going to work.
Yeah, Jeremy says I can't get behind a new ECW, and Drew's sword is gone because it belongs to Vince.
It's on Vince's mantle next to the smoking skull belt.
Yeah, he took it with him. He took that ball and ran home with it as well.
And then his toy collection that he names after. I'm sorry, guys. That's too far.
I just don't know any way they can do it without doing it the original way. The only way to do it is to do it on Netflix.
Lightning's not going to strike twice there, man. That was an anomaly. That should have never happened, and it never will happen again. There's a reason why that style died off, because it's just crash videography. I mean, it was great for a long while. The shock value went away, and you're never going to recreate that again. ECW was great for the time it was, and it will always be a beautiful part of wrestling history. But it's in history for a reason. It's because it died off. It's because it went bankrupt.
It's over and it's done.
It's over and it's done. You're not going to recreate it again.
I mean, I saw it live.
Most of them are all dead. Most of them have brain damage. New Jack. All the ECW originals are pretty much gone.
I saw, it live so many times. Being where I'm from in New York, you would see it all the time. And I mean, I think I was at the second TNN taping that they did. I think it was the second TNN taping that they ever did. For the TV show. And I remember when I first saw it as a kid, and I always tell this story on the show. It was on the MSG channel when, the old cable days. You had the MSG channel, and it was on at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, or Saturday or Sunday night. Sunday morning at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Day,
yeah, it would come on, and I would always set my VCR. Once I saw it a few times because I liked it. I'm like, what is this? And then you'd see the show, and I'd watch it. And I was like, damn, this is, as a kid, it was cool as hell to watch. You'd see these guys just beating the shit out of one another, the hardcore style. I remember, some of the first matches I saw was like Rey Mysterio and Psychosis. You saw Dean Malenko in there. You saw Chris Jericho. You saw all those guys. And I remember seeing the Gangsters, and I thought they were just awesome. The Eliminators, Perry Saturn, and Cronus.
Taz.
Yeah, all these guys. Yeah, Taz. I remember
Great.
the first time I saw Taz, and I see this little short guy. I'm like, what is this goof? And then you see Taz get in the ring and suplex the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
You saw Raven, Tommy Dreamer. You saw the hot,
Al
hot
Snow.
chick. Yeah, Al Snow. You saw all the hot chicks, Tammy Sitch, Dawn Marie, Beulah, all of them. It was just the coolest shit in the world to see.
Sex, drugs, and wrestling. That's what it was.
Yeah, and they were the outlaws, and you could see that they were the outlaws, and that's what resonated.
Nobody like that anymore today. We're too soft.
Yeah, it's too pussified.
In there and do that,
Yeah. Who can?
Yeah,
who can get away with it? That's why you don't see a GCW having a television deal. Did they have a nice market? Are they making good money? Yeah, I definitely would think they are. I mean, but they're a small niche market that would never be on mainstream television, in any way, shape, or form, because people are too soft and pussified now. It's just the way that it is.
Yep.
And
100%.
Jeremy says, let's see, the original Extreme guys were relatable to people in the world that felt like social outcasts, and the world we live in is full of snowflakes. The Extreme factor wouldn't be realistic. Yeah. The only way you get away with it is on Netflix.
Yep.
Only way.
But even so, who do you bring?
Yeah, who do you bring? Like, who would want
to? You would have to toss a bag at Nick Gage. I mean,
fuck that guy.
But you would.
Yeah.
Who would you have to bring? I mean, who does hardcore wrestling and has a notorious name now besides Nick Gage? I'll wait.
Yeah, I don't know anybody. I'm not into that world.
You're going to bring him back and make him? He's doing spots on Legos and stuff like that now. Like, you're going to bring Tommy Dreamer back, really? How many times are we doing this, fellas? Like,
I don't know who of the modern stars that would, or people that are up and comers that would maybe fit with that, that style that they would bring. I mean, you'd have to question the performers if that's what they want to do. If you're going to go balls to the wall and say, we're going to bring ECW back, we're going to do the old style of ECW, and it's going to be on Netflix, it's going to be rated R style, you can do whatever, it's going to be the old way to do it. Who really is dumb enough to want to make their career shortened and their life shortened potentially by doing that style on a weekly basis?
Not to mention, you have no Joey Styles. You have none of these original guys that made the show worth watching in between the matches, and the production, all that stuff. Joey Styles was a reason for a lot of their success over there. Sure. I mean, his voice and everything was so iconic. He made it interesting and exciting, and
my God,
he was their Jim Ross, dude.
Yeah.
The guy
probably
that came
one of the most talented announcers of all time, too. Yeah. Like, think about this: how hard it is to do play-by-play color all by yourself.
He did it from a basement, and sometimes it wasn't even live while he was doing it. He was taping over it.
Yep, you got it. Ralph says, social media killed it. You have a problem, you send a comment that's available to millions of followers. Back then was a letter that was sent. One person got to read it and decide if it got passed on. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
ECW is dead. It will never come back. It will never be successful. I will put my hat on that all day long.
I can't see how it could be. I just can't. Unless you
start introducing new talent and creating characters starting from square one and doing some crazy shit right off the bat. That's the only way, and I'll tell you, man, there was a faction that I wanted to see really grow into, an organization that got started, Lucha Underground. They were doing
great Lucha Underground
stuff that was groundbreaking. Chavo Guerrero over there, Vampiro in the background, the creative, Pentagon Jr., all these guys that were, even Ricochet was Prince Puma over there. I mean, you had Ray Phoenix, all these guys.
John Morrison was over there too.
That was a great organization. and they had a lot of funding behind it, and it was all great on paper and a great idea. Those were organic talents that were created, and unfortunately, that one fell too. I mean, it's very hard to make a groundbreaking impact in wrestling nowadays. It's just tough. If you're not WWE, you're making money.
Rob makes a good point here. He says, in today's day and age, I don't think you can find enough people with the passion of Dreamer or Mick or those guys. Yeah. I mean,
you never will.
Think about what they did to sacrifice for that product, and for what they did to put, their bodies on the line like that. And yeah, there is guys out there and girls out there that go do that stuff. But I think they all regret it at the end of the day. And their longevity is not going to be anything big.
And these carnival shows that have gone around and they're jumping off of, 30-foot, scaffolds into these tables and glass boards and all this shit. You've killed the style of that. You've totally oversaturated it. You've totally killed the shock value of it. You've overexposed people to that kind of stuff, and it's just garbage. I don't want to see people take bumps like that anymore. It literally look at Mick Foley and see how he walks. He can't even train for a wrestling match without getting a concussion now.
Yeah, because he abused himself so bad.
So bad.
Jeremy says, I would have a show called Wrestling Extreme and just do R-rated documentaries and show old footage. It's kind of what the network is, though, for them. And I don't think they get a big bunch of hits on the ECW content on the network. I think it was about a year and a half or 2 years ago, we were going to debut a new series here. Me and Chris had talked about it because I was always an ECW guy. I loved it, like I'd mentioned earlier. And I said, let's go back and watch from the beginning of the ECW days when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Boy, that was tough to watch.
It was the biggest pile of garbage, man, watching it. You had to skip forward about 3 or 4 years, to 95, 96 before you could watch stuff that was just passable at best. It's like one of those things where you try to go back sometimes and watch something and you have that revisionist history in your mind that it was so great. And it's so amazing, and then you go back and see it, and you're like, "This was some pile of crap,
pile of shit."
Yeah, it was just
even
bad.
Some WCW. I do that with.
There's some weeks when we do the show, and tomorrow night we'll be back doing our show. We're watching Road Wild 97, so everybody come back tomorrow night. Me and Chris will be covering that. Quick plug for that tomorrow night. But there's some of the shows that me and Chris get in with WCW and WWF, and we just want to fucking skip through some of it because it just sucks,
Yeah.
You think it's great when you're doing it, and it just isn't there. It just isn't there. Ralph says 100%. John, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Jeremy says, I'm a big fan of Mick, but nobody is extreme as New Jack. That dude is fucking crazy.
Rest in peace, New Jack.
He is nuts, man. He is beyond fucking nuts, that guy.
Yeah.
We had a lot of New Jack conversation on some of our old school shows that we used to do, especially when we did Wrestling Anonymous, and we covered some of the dark side of the ring, the scandals of New Jack. And my gosh, that man was you
watch his shoot interviews, dude, and you really get to learn who he is on the inside. Like, good grief.
The fucking lights are on, but nobody's home in there.
That dude, he lived his gimmick, man.
And he was proud of it.
Proud of it.
You'd listen to him on shoot interviews, and that's why I say, Jeremy, you are so right. There is nobody as extreme as New Jack. You listen to this guy's shoot interviews, and he openly talks about fucking murder.
That guy will go into wrestling infamy, dude. Like, New Jack will always be talked about.
He gave 0 Fs about anything, and he would go on and tell you how he murdered somebody and how he got away with it.
He wanted to kill people. I mean, he wanted
the Vic Grimes stuff when he chucked him off the scaffold, and he admitted it. Yeah. He admitted it. He goes, I tried to kill
tased him.
Yeah. He goes, I tried to kill the son of a bitch. That's what he said. He goes, I tried to kill him. He goes, he beat me over before he hurt me. He said he had no remorse for it. He goes, I wanted to kill him. He goes,
so I tried to kill him.
Yep. And he goes, I don't care. He goes, I tried to kill him. He goes, I fucked up. He goes, I should have thrown his ass harder. And New Jack was a whole other level. What's going on, Lawrence? Great to see you, my friend. I hope things are going great in Australia right now. Good day, my friend. Great to see you out, Lawrence. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stabbing people, the mass transit incident, that kid who decided that it would be a smart move to go tell New Jack how to work a match. He learned, and he almost bled to death.
Not good.
Not good stuff. Have you watched? We'll close out the show with this for tonight because we're talking about ECW and some crazy things, in the professional wrestling world as we near the end of our time. But have you seen any of the new season of Dark Side of the Ring? I know we used to talk about it a lot.
I have, and God, you want to talk about a TMI episode, the Buff Bagwell one, boy, I'll tell you what.
Wow.
Whew.
Give
Did
me
you
some of
like
your take backs from that episode.
Well, let me start off. Did you like okay. Buff Bagwell. Did you like Buff Bagwell?
Did I like him?
Yeah.
I thought he was good. He wasn't like a favorite of mine or anything like that, but I thought he had a lot of talent.
I think he had a lot of talent. He had a great look, man. And the thing is like with Buff Bagwell, he had the look, he had the charisma, everything like that. I think he blew up too fast. He was like the Justin Bieber of the wrestling world. He got way too much success too soon in the biggest faction that you could be a part of in wrestling history, which is the NWO. Once he made that and he started making that buku money and merch sales and all that stuff started rolling through, Buff Bagwell changed, and I think that was his downfall. Is he had too much success too soon for a young guy like that, and it went to his head, man. And I think he was the Justin Bieber of the wrestling world. He just fell too fast after he got that success.
Think about this: at 31 years old, it was over for him in the mainstream.
Getting your mother involved in your work, dude, that says a whole different thing about
His
your
mother
character.
shaving his back and his ass and
That's
all that
not all
stuff.
she shaved. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
his
some X-rated.
balls,
Oh my
his
goodness,
dong. I mean, that the calf
that was
implants. Ralph said, his calf implants. I mean, what the fuck was going on with
dude.
him? He's still, when you see him now, like the guy is super vain, man. Like it's like you see him, and it's kind of pathetic to see a guy that's nearing up in his 60s right now, trying to still act like he's in his 30s, and he's kind of doing the things that
Can't
he
blame them
does.
for the people that brought him up, though. I mean, it's all about your upbringing, right? I mean, we've always talked about that with a lot of your mental health and stuff that you do. It's all about your upbringing, how your parenting and stuff was. And for what it seemed like in that episode, yeah, that was a crazy household to live in. It was full of racing, drugs, and fast living, fast spending money, fast everything.
I'm happy he got help from DDP too, Ralph.
Me
It's good
too.
to see him on the
DDP is a Hall of Fame human being, dude.
shit.
What
Yeah, he
more
is,
can you
man.
say about him? I
I
mean,
love seeing this stuff with that they've done on DDP's YouTube channel, DDP Yoga, I think it's what it's called on YouTube. And they do great documentaries too. I just got to throw that out there. Phenomenal
beautiful.
documentaries. I love seeing the stuff they did with Scotty Riggs. And
Yeah.
Scotty Riggs is such a nice dude, man.
Yeah.
Like, and he
So
just went
sad
through.
he was getting ready to end himself.
Yeah, and Buff reached out and called him at the right time, and thank God for that.
Good on Buff for doing that too, man.
Yeah,
Remembering where he came from and who he came up with. That's a big thing to do. Buff
yeah,
Bagwell's turning a new leaf, man. I hope
I
he's
hope so.
finding peace. I hope he's finding sobriety. I hope he's getting his legal
He's
situation.
finding God now too, which is a nice thing to see.
Finding
Whether
God,
whatever y'all's beliefs are,
if he
like
truly wants to get in the ring one more time for a last match, hey man, you know.
yep. Jeremy said that's how we live in Georgia, Richie. Yeah,
Oh, dude, I'm
yeah.
sure.
He
I'm
shot
sure.
his dad too. Ralph said.
Shot his
Lorian
dad.
says
Yeah.
Buff Bagwell underrated talent. Felt like he wasn't always appreciated as he could be, but I agree, he did go downhill with success. Unfortunately, yeah, I
Yeah.
think he just found it too much. The stuff with his
Too
dad
quickly.
was wild.
Yeah.
The stories about his dad too, where
I
his
didn't
dad.
know Missy Hyatt discovered him.
I didn't either. I didn't know that
That
about.
was great to learn.
Yeah, I didn't know much about that one either with Missy. I knew
Yeah.
they Missy lived in the same area in Atlanta as a few of those
Mhm.
guys. I know she was
Yeah.
close with Scotty Rakes too. I'm sure she
Mhm.
probably still is, but the story about his dad when he lost a bet or something like that and he opened fire with the machine gun is just
Pretty
insane,
wild.
you know. Yeah, it was sad it didn't work out in WWE for him. I think we
I
were all
thought
kind of.
that was a bullshit way of them sending him out like that. It was, that was a tragic thing because I think Buff could have been huge in the WWE at the time.
Yeah, hopefully Buff does a turnaround like HBK. I'm really pulling for him,
Couldn't be more
Lawrence.
right about that.
I think we're all pulling for him. You can change
Yeah,
your life around if you want to, and that's a beautiful
sure.
thing. If you want to, we've all made mistakes, every single one of us. You don't throw stones at a glass house. Like
No,
seriously, like we don't.
we've all
You,
had our bouts with our demons and mental
of
health and drug
course,
use and alcohol use and everything else. I mean,
yeah, I hope he can turn it around, man.
yeah,
I'm really pulling for him. It's great to see the story and what DDP's done for them, and
yeah,
what they're doing for one another, and that's a beautiful thing. That you get an opportunity to see. I'll tell you, the sleeper episode of the season was last week's for me. It was the gentleman Chris Adams story. If you
yeah.
haven't checked it out, man, go check that one out. What a wild story and a wild guy that he was. You know, trained Stone Cold Steve Austin, was the one that helped Stone Cold into the business. And you hear the stories.
Pretty good feather in your cap, huh?
Yeah. You hear the stories from, they had Kevin Von Erich on there and the guys from World Class Championship Wrestling, and telling the stories about the madman that he was when he would drink alcohol and do drugs, and what a nice man he was when he wasn't doing them. And then they were telling this story about like how his eyes would get like bright red, like the demon, you know. Everybody said the same thing in the different interviews. They would all say it. And man, if you haven't seen that one yet, I think it's the best episode of the season I've seen so far. I really think it was a really good one. The only one I didn't get a chance to finish was the one that was before that, with some guy I never heard of. I guess that was some like crazy character. Cornette was on it. I got to check that one out. I'm looking forward to tonight's episode. That's probably out by now. I'll probably check it out tomorrow if it's up on Daily Motion. So if you don't have cable, folks, Daily Motion always puts them up on there, so you can go find them on there. So little help for you for those who don't have cable like me. And I'm looking forward to the one with Sensational Sherry. Sherry Martel's one of my all-time favorite women characters. Women wrestlers.
Did they ever officially disclose how she passed away? Was it actually drug? It was drugs. Okay.
Yeah, it was drugs. Yeah,
I know it was a mystery for a long time. A lot of people had conspiracy theories of her getting whacked and all kinds of stuff.
No, it was drugs all the way. Wow. I think it was cocaine. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I think it was a mixture of cocaine and alcohol, or uppers or downers of some sort. So so Sherry Martel is tonight's episode. Hopefully I get a chance to check it out over the next couple of days, because I love Sherry, and I think that it's just just a really great story that I want to hear about a lot more. And I'm really stoked for that one, 100%.
You think they're going to do one next season about Sunny?
They already did last season. They did one.
They did one on Sunny. Okay, I got to go back and watch that.
They did her in the Chris Candido story last year.
But I don't want it to be did they cover her criminal history and all that?
They briefly touched on it at the end, and she had no involvement on it.
Dive into that.
I think there's definitely way more to that than people can get. Definitely, we'll find. You'll see more things about her in the future. I would assume. She was doing a podcast in prison.
Really?
Some guy got her on the phone and did a podcast.
There's weirdos out there that are sending her money on her books and all kinds of shit.
That's what they were doing. Like, they pay for the call or whatever it is. They got like an hour or something like that. And they were doing an interview with her from fucking prison. Like, wow. You want to talk about, DDP being a Hall of Fame human being. If you want to talk about somebody being the toilet bowl of a human being, it's her.
It sucks, man, because, I'm sure at one point, she was a beautiful woman.
She was my first wrestling crush, really, big time as a teenager. Like, I always loved Miss Elizabeth and Sherry. I always thought they were, cute as a younger kid. But, I'm 42 now. So Sunny was my first big,
bombshell, right?
Yeah, she was my first big crush in wrestling, when you're a teenager and you're seeing the Playboys and all the chicks eventually coming out, that they do Playboys. Everybody wanted Sunny to do it. And then she just fell down the wrong path, and she did a little porn. I think it was called Wrestling Vixens or something like that with Missy Hyatt. Yeah, but Sunny was the first bombshell that I had a crush on as a kid.
There was a good while there where she had a setup at wrestling, the wrestling places where they would have a bed where the fans could get in bed with her and take a picture and weird shit.
She was doing Skype sessions with people and doing, sex stuff with people.
What the hell, man?
And then she opened that OnlyFans, and she was making they said she was making a month, a couple $100,000 a month on her OnlyFans.
I wish like hell, bro, that DDP would have came across her path a lot,
She'd been to rehab so many times, bro. She's somebody when you talk about people that just are unsalvageable. And
it sucks, man. It sucks. She was a lovable person, a lovable character.
Yeah, she was something for sure, Ralph. And Lorraine said, I still have the hots for Sunny.
Hey, God bless you, brother.
Put some money on her prison books, Lorraine. Yeah, she might still do something. Jeremy, great resurrection. She might, man. She might send you some prison photo or something. I don't know. Boy. Resurrection of Jake the Snake is one of the saddest documentaries, but it's got a great ending. And once again, it goes back to the guys over there doing a phenomenal job. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I'll say one last one that I really liked this season. And it was really nice to learn about him and what a wonderful guy he was the story about Earthquake too. Did you get a chance to see that one yet?
I haven't got to see it. I saw the preview for it. It looked pretty good.
What a nice guy John Tenta seemed to be. Just a salt of the earth human being too.
When did he pass away?
Oh my gosh, I think about 15 years ago or something
15
like
years ago,
that.
yeah.
You know, 10, oh, definitely it's got to be over a decade ago now.
Yeah.
I can't remember right offhand, but
You remember
I
when
mean,
Roddy Piper brought out those the Misfits, like,
oh,
to wrestle the NWO?
we covered it on the show earlier last year. It was the
Yeah.
worst segment I've ever experienced, I think, in professional wrestling.
That was one of the biggest misses they ever did.
It was so bad that they literally the next week just had to dismiss
They had
everybody.
to
And
rewrite it.
it
Yeah.
was the segment that went on for what seemed like forever.
Forever.
Chris and I laughed our asses off during it
Roddy
because
Piper sitting there screaming, "This is my
come on,
family!"
he's slapping them around and
And
stuff,
then he trades them in a heartbeat when the Horsemen come out. It's
Yeah,
like,
the Horsemen come out.
okay.
It's like adios, motherfuckers. You're out of here.
Yeah.
Get your scrub asses
Right,
out.
John
I'm taking Rick and Benoit and all the in Mongo. Yeah, John Tenta was great. 100%. Ralph, he was phenomenal. Loran said DDP should visit Sonny in jail and get her into DDPY to help her get back on her feet. She definitely needs to do some DDPY. She was looking rough the last time I saw her. She was hitting that prison canteen just a little bit too much, you know.
It sucks so bad. That's one of the ones that you think about and you're just like, damn.
Your first wrestling crush was Sonny. My first crush was Kelly from Saved by the Bell. Kelly Kapowski.
Who was it? Mine was Topanga.
Topanga Lawrence from Boy Meets World. Yes.
You know?
These are all good ones right here.
And she was a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah, she was. Well, they did a whole Boy Meets World episode, you know. That's a great show, by the way.
They had Vader and Mick Foley.
Vader was a reoccurring character as Frankie Stechino's dad.
Yep. What a great show that is. I would like to do a watch along just on that.
Anytime, bro. They have a Boy Meets World podcast that they all do.
I know.
Might consider trying to contact Sonny in jail if she'll do something for me.
Oh boy.
Might happen, buddy.
You keep us posted on that, man.
Let us know, Lorenz. Let us
Better
know.
share the deets.
Well, great discussion tonight, everybody. We hope you had a great time. It's so nice to see everybody out that comes out tonight and checks it out live with us on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you like this video. We greatly appreciate that. Whatever outlet you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you like it, please. Make sure you follow the page or subscribe to it. You know, if you're watching on Facebook, we ask you if you can go over to our YouTube. We're getting close to monetizing it. You know, we just would really appreciate if you go to our YouTube too. It's the Retro Wrestling Revival podcast on there. As well. And Richie and I also do another show called Random Conversations. It's up on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble right now. And it's not about wrestling. It's about life, and it's about other topics that we talk about. And it's just a great time, man. We just started it up, and we are trying to grow the audience over there. So we would greatly appreciate that as well. Stacy Keebler, I'm taking her too. Ralph says, cool podcast. John and Richie will definitely follow. Hey, thanks, Ralph. I appreciate it, my friend.
Welcome.
As Richie, myself, and Chris always say, this is Chris's great line that he put out for the show. We're a show that's for fans, by fans. And every Saturday and Sunday night, we have our radio show down in the great state of Georgia and Atlanta. And we post links up on our Facebook so you can check out. This is actually a radio taping that will air on Saturday. So it's 9 to 10 p.m. on WDJY. You don't have to be in the area to listen to it. You can listen to it right on the internet as well. So follow our Facebook, please. You'll see all the great stuff we're doing. And we also have a show out in California and Denver. So we do so much content a month here on our various outlets. We greatly appreciate you guys checking it all out. And we tell a friend, share it with us. You know, We're just fans having a good time, kicking back and enjoying life. So we really appreciate it. Richie, any closing thoughts to
just come check out Random Conversations, man. You know, we're putting a lot into that. We're putting a lot of side of things, talking about life, just, you know, talking about current events. There's going to be a episode we're going to talk about the events of 9/11, which just kind of shaped our society a little bit. And we'd like you guys to come over there, transition over there, follow our show, and listen to all the great content that we have, man. So I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you showing up and showing out, man. This is a great community. Let's keep it going here.
No doubt about it. We'll be back tomorrow night here on Wednesday night, live on our Facebook, watching some Road Wild 97, me and Chris. So come back tomorrow night. We'd greatly appreciate it. And come back this weekend. Check out what we got going on the radio. Tomorrow's episode, which will air on the Sunday for the radio, we're going to be doing a Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson watch-along from Dynasty to see what all the hype is about and give our opinions. So come back and check it out on Sunday as well. So thanks again, everybody. We greatly appreciate your support. We greatly appreciate your time. And we will check you all out real soon right here on the Retro Wrestling Revival.